How many years is it now since the Yellow Pages and the phone book, the BT phone book, the physical paper Yellow Pages and phone book were abolished and stopped completely? How many years is it now? Because time's just evaporating, isn't it? It must be the best part of 15, 20 years now since we've really used phone books or Yellow Pages, or maybe it's a bit less. I don't know, 10 to 15 years. But because the time's going so quickly, we lose track, and the pace at which the world has changed, or evolved rather. Evolved is a nicer word than change, isn't it? The way the world's evolved, with technology and, social media, the internet, mobile phones, in the last 20 years is quite literally mind-boggling, isn't it? It's all happened so fast. We've gone from one universe to another. But yeah, I want to talk about a conversation I was having with a 12-year-old colleague of mine, and that probably sounds really odd, a 12-year-old colleague, but the the production I'm acting in at the moment, Polar Express, uh, on the Telford Steam Railway. So I'm a conductor on the theatre adaptation of Polar Express on the Telford Steam Railway. And we've got actors and performers of all ages, middle-aged, senior, and then we've got children and teenagers as well. So I get to work with all ages, and I kind of feel like I'm one of them sometimes when I'm sort of, bantering and, working with the teenagers. I feel like I'm that age again myself. It takes me back to the 1990s when I was a teen myself. I don't feel much different from them, but then I reflect on how much things have changed since I was a teenager in the 90s, and how life compares as a teenager in the 90s from the life they have now. I mean, it is mind boggling, isn't it, the difference? But some things are still the same. Teenagers are teenagers with or without social media and TikTok. Teenagers are still teenagers, and I feel a bit like one when I'm with them. It's strange, but I do keep misjudging their ages terribly. Maybe it's because I'm 45. Well, I was 45 yesterday. Yesterday, so I'm getting a bit more mature now, a bit older, and um, maybe because I'm getting a bit older, I'm really, really getting their ages wrong. I keep guessing people's ages and thinking they're much older than what they are. I keep thinking they're 17 or 18 or 19 or 20, um, only to find out they're 14, 13 or 15, or I'm guessing someone is 20 and they're actually 16 or 17. I'm really, people seem to look so much older to me than what they are, these teenagers. Like, the ones I think are 18 are actually 14 or 15, and the ones I think are 16 are actually 13, and the ones I think that are 20 or 21 are only 17 or 18. I'm wondering why I'm getting it so so badly wrong, guessing their ages so badly, and seeing them as older than they are. Maybe it's just because I've got a bit older now myself. But back to the conversation about the phone book. I was talking to this 12-year-old girl who was very, on the cast. She's one of our actors, performers, and she is very, very with it, very, very advanced, very mature for her age, like having quite an adult conversation, really. And we were talking about how, obviously, when I was a teen, well, up until about 15, 20 years ago, you mainly used a landline, and landlines are now becoming almost extinct, aren't they? Well, certainly in the home anyway. And we had a landline, and you would just answer the phone without knowing who it was. There was not necessarily any caller ID, and even if you didn't recognise the number on the display, you probably still answered it. So some people joke, don't they, that we really lived on the edge in the 80s and 90s. We answered the phone without knowing who was calling, without even seeing a number, without knowing who it was. Now, many of us are afraid to answer the phone, aren't we? If we don't recognise the number. What a transition! How strange that is. And yet I was trying to explain to her this, the 12-year-old girl. I think she sort of realised, but her having been born in, well, I don't know, 20, 2012? Yeah, she would have been born in, say, 2012 or, yeah, 2012. So this is a world that's really before her time, isn't it? And, God, the time's evaporating. And yeah, and I was explaining to her that, yeah, you answered the phone most of the time. You answered it regardless, and then you had the option of putting the phone down or hanging up, but you still answered it. And we really did live life on the edge. And she was quite shocked at this because she's if she doesn't recognise the number on her phone, she's reluctant or she won't answer it. Like a lot of people now, if they don't recognise the number. And I often think, are we missing out on good things, on nice things, on useful things by not answering if we don't recognise the number? Surely that goes against the purpose, or big part of the purpose of having a phone, doesn't it? I don't know. What do you think? But yeah, trying to explain to her that we answered the phone anyway. It was a landline. We didn't know who was calling. Didn't have caller display until much later on, until the end, towards the end of landlines. But we answered it anyway, and she found this quite scary, and I can understand that. We really did live life on the edge. But and also I told her about the phone book and how everybody was in the phone book. Their address and phone number was in the phone book, so you could look people up in this book that everybody had by their phone in their house. And she was shocked by that as well. Oh my goodness, your number and your address being published publicly in a book that every single person had in their home. And I said, yes, but a lot of people chose to be what they called ex-directory, didn't they? You could be ex-directory, which would mean you could only get someone's number if they gave it to you personally. You couldn't find them in the phone book. But still, she was shocked when I said that you could look people up in this public book that everybody had underneath or beside their phone in their homes. You could look people up, unless of course they were ex-directory. You could find their number and their address. Unthinkable now, isn't it? I know you can find the same thing online, and you can still be ex-directory, but we don't have this book in our homes, and unless of the yellow pages is where you could look up electricians or dance teachers or I don't know, singing teachers or painter and decorators, whatever. You could just look them up in the yellow pages. Now, of course, you just go online, so the yellow pages became redundant. And, again, she struggled, bless her, to get her head around the fact that we had a paper phone book and a paper yellow pages for looking up companies and businesses, and everybody had these two books in their home. And we answered the landline, we answered the phone, because most of us only really had landlines until 25 years ago. And you just answered it, and you had the option of hanging up if you didn't want to speak to them, or people used to unplug their phone, didn't they, or leave the phone off the hook if they didn't want to be contacted at certain times. I suppose that was the old equivalent of putting it on voicemail or flight mode, or just switching it off. Like me, for example, I switch my phone off at night when I go to sleep, and I turn it on as soon as I wake up. I don't know how many people do that. I think we might be in a minority of people that have their phone off whilst they're asleep. But yeah, and yes, she could just about understand, but it was kind of strange for her, having been born in 2012, and then I thought it was probably a bit later, wasn't it? Maybe late 90s. That we got the 1471, so we could find out who'd called us and then decide whether we'd ring back or not. So I suppose that's an early form of not answering if you don't know who's calling. We had the 1471, or the 141, and we still have that, don't we? But that wasn't until sort of late 90s, was it? Again, long before this little girl's time. She's 12 years old now. And but yeah, I was trying to I had a brief look on the old Google, other search engines are available, to find out when we stopped getting paper phone books, physical phone books and physical yellow pages. It's at least 10 years ago, isn't it, that we stopped getting them in our homes. And it does seem like ages ago now. It seems so pointless and a bit like phone boxes. Phone boxes now are, I feel sorry for them. They're abandoned and neglected. I feel like we should have a national day for the prevention of cruelty to phone boxes, cruelty, abandonment of phone boxes. We need to have a national phone box day because they've really been abandoned, haven't they? And the state of them now. But yeah, I mean, we haven't really been using phone boxes since the early 2000s, have we really? But what date was it? What year was it that phone directories and yellow pages stopped being delivered to our homes? They got thinner and thinner, didn't they? We ended up with that. We had the Thompson as well, the blue Thompson book. Again, must be 20 years ago now. And the yellow pages was really, really slim, wasn't it? In the end, really slimmed down because people were looking things up on Yale.com online, weren't they? And I think Yale.com still exists, doesn't it? But yeah, when was it? Was it 15 years ago or 20 years ago that we stopped getting phone books delivered and yellow pages delivered, physical paper books? It must be at least 15 years ago, possibly 20. Does anybody remember the year, the date, when they stopped doing them, when they stopped delivering them to us? There must be collectors, mustn't there? I bet if you go on YouTube, you'll find people who collect them, and they've got hundreds of them or thousands of them from all over the country, and all different years. That's fascinating. Yeah, there's probably some geek out there that collects them. Why not? But yeah. So yeah, today we're talking yellow pages and the phone book, and landlines, and how such things have become extinct in the last 20, almost extinct anyway, in the last sort of 20 years, and how it's been so fast. And have you had these conversations with somebody under the age of 20 or, about how it was not so long ago? Yeah, very nostalgic. It's just, the time's evaporating. It's just happened too fast, astronomically fast change. Yeah, we need to have a national phone box day as well, because phone boxes are really abandoned now, aren't they? And really neglected, and they're in a sorry state, and we need to give them some TLC. But yeah, to conclude this video quite humorously, I'm staying in Ironbridge in Shropshire, sort of cut off in a valley really from the modern world, a quaint touristy idyllic town. It's almost paradise here really at Ironbridge, and I'm staying in this idyllic hotel for a month till Christmas, and some of the staff here, they've been here 20, 30 years. People just don't leave. Such a wonderful idyllic place. And obviously I'm getting to know the waitresses and the receptionists, being here for a month, and lots of banter, and they're all lovely, and they love what they do, and you can see their hearts in it, and we have a banter every day, and it's quite funny. There's one particular waitress who's quite flirty. And I saw her one evening when she wasn't working. I came into the hotel, she wasn't working. It's an older lady, and she was off, and she's wearing her ordinary clothes, and I'd never seen her in her ordinary outside world clothes. I'd only ever seen her in her uniform, And I said, as I came into the hotel, I said, "Oh, hi." I said, "I didn't recognise you in your normal clothes." She said, and she, dear, oh dear, very naughty. She said, "I thought you were going to say something like, oh, you didn't recognise me with my clothes on then." She's always quite flirty. But what I meant to say was, I didn't recognise you, obviously, with your normal clothes on, as opposed to waitressing clothes. And then there was another funny moment. I said to the receptionist, asked me in the dining room if I'd like my room serviced whilst I wasn't in the room. Can we do your room while you're not there, whilst you're not there? And I'm one of these people. I'm not bothered about having it serviced all the time. Every few days or once a week is fine for me, really. I know some people would be horrified to hear me say that, but I'm in this room for a month, and anyway, yeah, she said, "We'll service it. We'll go and sort everything out, clean it while you're not in there." And I quickly turned around and said, "Oh, I'll let you know where I'll let you know where the money is. You know where I've kept the money in the room, the stash." And she's so witty and so on the ball. She quickly looked around and said, "Oh no, they've already found the money," she said, "and they've taken it for our staff Christmas tips." She was so quick and so witty. We're on the same. Oh, drops my glasses. So it was on the same wavelength there. Humour wise. Yes. So a bit of hotel banter there, which you get quite a bit of it. When you're sort of living in a hotel. For a month. Well, I say living, I'm here for a month because of work on the Polar Express, on the Telford Steam Railway. But anyway, I think I've this has been, I can't see it without my glasses. 16 minutes. Oh my goodness, already 16 minutes. Yeah, indeed, time is evaporating. Not just the last 20 years, but the last 16 minutes. Anyway, I look forward to all your comments as always. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen.